Welcome to the Cleaning with Purpose podcast. So excited to be back here with you, Jeff. In our last series of podcasts, we talked through Crystal Clean's difference. We talked through the services. The owner, Dave, shared the history of Crystal Clean. And in this particular episode, what I'd love to do is go deep, and maybe the next few episodes will go deeper as well, per service, so that we get a great understanding of what the Crystal Clean difference is applied into a service, maybe what to expect, how the flow works, the service areas that we provide these services, and maybe a little bit of the magic sauce that we have as far as the way we approach it.
That'll be fun because most people don't want to know that much. So.
The other thing that we're really trying to accomplish here is to be as articulate and descriptive as possible so that when we put this information online, not only the search engines pick it up, but now we're feeding what I like to call feeding the beast for artificial intelligence or AI, and making sure that as AI goes through its learning cycles, which happens with Gemini, which is Google's property, which happens with ChatGPT, which is open AI's property, and now XAI, which is essentially Grok, which is the formerly known as Twitter. All these major players that are going through learning models, we have very articulate answers with depth. So when they're prompted, as you may have seen over the last 2 weeks, ChatGPT has now integrated search into their prompt. So they're really going after that search market. But instead of it showing web pages, it generates its own response based on its knowledge base. And what we're trying to do is really fuel that knowledge base with really great content. So I'm excited to be on the journey with you, ready to rock it out. You made some delicious coffee for us today. So to get started, what would be the first service that you want to review? We talked about common area cleaning. Would that be a great place to start? Or
it would. You know, the company starts with common area cleaning. I think Dave realized recurring accounts, common area cleaning throughout Southwest Florida. It's present here in a way that you have a nice market to appeal to. So he kind of started with that.
Yeah, and in our previous podcasts, Dave shared that it was way back in the 80s, and it grew. And back here at Southwest Florida, as we frame for the 80s, was not what it is today.
Right.
But here's what we do know. Everything gets dirty. And down here in Florida, you have your windows open. During some businesses do have their windows open during the cooler season. And that brings in all kinds of dust and things like that. So what we're really trying to think about is common area cleaning and its continuity. And then we pair that with great service. And one of the things we shared previously, and we'll review it now, is there's a typical, I would say it's a degradation in service just because of the way service companies operate. It's probably one of the biggest complaints you and I have seen.
Yeah, and it can happen to any company. You come in and you sell an account, and you have a good relationship, and things start off strong. And then over the course of time, to your point, it degrades. Just it's difficult to keep a consistent cleaner and have them pay attention consistently over a period of years, which there's a way to make that happen, but it's not the easiest thing to do. And so it's pretty common that we come into that scenario.
Yeah, so let's kind of get right into that, because I feel like, and maybe I'm off, this is one of the superpowers of Crystal Clean, is that, and I'll let you get into details, but there's like a formula you guys use, or a magic sauce, we'll call it, that really helps maintain consistency over the long term.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
You want to go into that?
Starting with the cleaning itself, there's nothing like going into a place that's dirty to make you appreciate having a place that's clean. So starting with that, people who want to dummy it down and go, come on, it's sweeping, mopping, cleaning toilets, not a big deal. Well, the cleaning itself is not rocket science. However, being able to apply it consistently takes a lot of effort. And that's our goal. We want to make sure that we keep people happy for a very long time. That's what allows us to have good, recurring, common area clients. And we've grown other services from that. But in the common area category, knowing that they're going to come and go to the same place, they're going to see what happens in the restrooms are a key spot, or in their lobby areas, in their offices, the clubhouses, the pool decks. These are areas that you're not going to be able to hide as cobwebs build up and as algae starts to grow, or if you just don't vacuum consistently. One of the biggest problems, people are like, well, they don't get the trash consistently, or I left that piece of paper sit there for 4 weeks and I watched it. They haven't swept this floor in a month. And you're like, okay, so we hear those stories a lot. So how we try to prevent that, of course, is making our cleaners know that they're actually special. They're making sure that our clients feel clean and comfortable. All of us maintain our work and our life around work based on how well we clean. So we try to educate. Yeah. So bringing in Crystal Clean University has been a big part of it. We want to make sure that they have an expectation coming in. Yeah. So when we hire people, we want to know, do you want to be part of a cleaning family, or are you just looking for a job? So if they want to be part of a cleaning family, and we have a lot of good examples of people that come in and they clean and they do a good job, and the next thing you know, we're using them more and more, and their position grows, and we have a role that's very key to all this. We call it lead tech. So if they do really well, and we can use them as a lead tech will oversee several jobs, making sure that they're staffed and trained, make sure the supplies that they need are there, or through the course of a year, you will have moments where you go, we have to spend more time on this account. It's been 3 or 4 months. Things are building up because, as you know, when you go into a project, you can't just put money to it and go, well, if you pay us this much, we'll keep it clean, and that gives us tons of hours. It doesn't work that way. You have to be very cautious to make sure that you're coming in and being competitive, but still able to keep it clean. So the lead tech is key to this. They will help the person when it's time to go, okay, we're going to spend a little more time on this. And that's put into our proposals, which is another nice thing to talk about because most people don't compare the apples to apples. And when they see a proposal that's a lot less to one that's maybe a little bit more, they go, well, it's cleaning. We'll take the one that's less. And often where it bites them is this, the scenario of keeping them trained, keeping them motivated, having someone actually assist them and spend more time when you need to spend more time. We're prepared for all that. And I think a lot of our competitors let that go and go, how can we pare this down and quote it as inexpensive as possible? And we just don't think that's the best methodology. So working with the cleaners directly, training them, helping them with the lead tech is one of those secret sauces, if you will. So
thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
One of the big things you just shared, and I think this is a critical ingredient to the secret here, is the idea of having somebody come in, the lead tech in this case, to do accountability checks. And that has an extra cost to it. As you think about maybe a day laborer or a person who's in there doing the work, and then there's an extra layer here of accountability that keeps the consistency. And I think that's a key ingredient. One thing I heard you say was something about a university. And we talked about this in our previous podcast, where we have a growth-minded, ambition-oriented kind of culture. And one of the things that you just shared is this university. And what the goal of the university is to really continually educate, keep people on track, bring in new technologies, test them, measure them, see if they work. So there's a constant growth path with Crystal Clean. Can you go into a little bit more what the university does to help with that? And
it started off, we like to come up with nice names that mean something to people. And we go, Crystal Clean University, CCU. So it sounded good. We're like, what are we going to do with that? So how about onboarding? We'll start with that. People come in, and we can bring all of our cleaners in ultimately. Let's start with a series of videos. So we have a series of videos, and that turns into, well, let's get really specific videos because, like I said, sometimes it's common area cleaning, or maybe, let's say we swing to the other end, it's medical office cleaning. And there's some really key things that the cleaner needs to know about this. So we started making videos, and we probably have 20 videos now that cover a span of different topics as it relates to cleaning, from the very basics, why we use color-coded rags and a multi-purpose cleaner versus glass cleaner, stainless cleaner, floor cleaners, degreasers. They need to understand all this, and of course, even beyond that, legally, they have to understand why we need to make sure that we have proper paperwork to go along with that. So when we have cleaning closets, we make sure that we have a breakdown of the chemicals and what they are, and on and on. So the videos have kind of grown, and that's Crystal Clean University in a nutshell. But it's an evolution. It will continue to grow.
2 parts, the best of businesses in my mind. Now, me being in the entrepreneurial space since the early 80s, back then I was selling wood crafts at craft shows that I made with my grandpa, going, wait a minute, I can make money creating stuff and giving it to others? That's one of the points that I want to make, is every great business or entrepreneur is all about great relationships. And it's not just great relationships with the customer or client, it's great relationships with the team. So it's top down, I would always say, to have great relationships as far as the culture goes. The second area is great systems. when I built my internet business in the mid to late 90s and we sold it in 2000, that was a huge part of it. How did we go from 100 subscribers to 1,000 and then break the 1,000 to get to 10,000? And we couldn't have done it if we didn't have great systems. So I'm kind of pulling what you're sharing here as part of this process of the university is assuring that people understand the power of relationships, and it starts with you and the team, and then also from the team to the customer. And then as part of the process, the systems, processes, we've got that dialed in, and we help them understand the emotional connection and depth of why those systems are important and why we need to live into a lot of the values we've talked about: care, compassion, empathy, unconditional love as part of our vibe, and just who we are. And that says a lot about how you guys hire too, because we're real clear about this. We can feel if they're a good fit through the lens of their value structure, and then are they good at tactics, the systems part. So anything you want to say about great relationships and great systems, living into that?
Well, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and we try really hard to make sure, and it gets easier and easier to find people who fit the core values is what we talk about a lot. And, it's one thing to come in and say that they've cleaned before and they have some experience, but we want the right personality because we can train the rest in pretty readily. So making them feel important. We want the cleaners to feel like they're part of a family and feel important in what they do. And we want the clients then to feel that connectivity as they see our cleaners out doing a good job and in uniform and hopefully smiling and saying hello. Lead tech that comes and goes, they get to know them a little bit as they maybe are delivering supplies. And then, of course, we have other outreach programs throughout the management team to make sure we're touching base with our clients and, hey, how is it going? So if they feel all those things that you just spoke to, then it's mission accomplished. Usually we can keep them around for a long time, and we have many clients that have been with us for years.
So there's an underpinning here of a third area that you shared, which is one of the values of the Crystal Clean culture, as we talked about in previous podcasts: great communication paired with great consistency. So we're really painting a frame here in this episode about the underpinnings of what, in my mind, Crystal Clean or any exceptional business is about. Great systems, great relationships, great communication, consistency. Any thoughts or insights?
Cleaning through consistency and communication. It's the 3 C's.
Love it. So good. So as we think about common area cleaning and common questions people may have, so one of the things you shared with me before our recording today was you're doing different proposals and quotes. And what I'd love to do for a little bit of time here is really understand what are some of the common questions, maybe objections people have when they're considering you and they're getting multiple quotes. Is there any things along those lines that you want to share?
So not too many people write a formal request for proposal in the cleaning business, but there are some. And the consistencies, I think, whether it's a formal request or they're just calling us up. They went on Google and they found us because we have a guy that runs our SEO program really well for us, and we usually show up. So we get a lot of calls like that. And they're comparing and contrasting by virtue of, let's see what a cleaning company will say about how much time they have to spend here and see what the cost is going to be. And everyone has a scope of work. They may give us a scope of work, or, of course, we have prepared scope of work. And I try to explain to the clients, I will certainly compare, and I'll look at their scope of work versus ours. But in the body of the proposal, I want to make sure that I stick with a scope of work that is realistic, something that we will do. So sometimes they come in with a task list that maybe is a little too extensive. And I understand why. It's easy to go, I want this and this and this and this, because endlessly you can go top to bottom. And sometimes there's specialty services too. I mean, in reality, you go, if we're going to clean off algae, it's a different service. So we'll talk about that separately. Or, floor work, window work, these are separate services. So we don't there's the scope of work conversation always comes to play. So you try to also help them appreciate back to the comparisons between companies, or we often say apples to apples, to make sure that they get a feel for why we might be different. And it's not that we are absolutely competitive. We know our marketplace. But if you're only looking for the lowest number, you'll always find somebody who'll give you something that'll make you go, wow, that's less, and they're going to clean my place. Good, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of conversations about why you might consider a family-owned and operated company that cares and that's willing to have those things that we talked about, and having good, consistent cleaning and communication, and really checking on an account and helping an account with a lead tech, with local cleaners that work for us. These things are really the big dynamic between what they might get from some of our competitors that show up to bid.
The thing I love about what you're sharing here, another one of the, I would classify as your superpowers, is you're helping them look around corners they may not see. Kind of figuratively, in the sense that, hey, here's a scope of work. This is in reality, but also these are different areas that require their own specialized service. And let's talk about the differential there to assure that we're living into the very best consistently over the long time. And we have clear out expectations and clear outcomes, which I think is another piece to this puzzle, is the expectations and outcomes part of this. So is there anything you feel people should know if they're going to hire Crystal Clean for common area cleaning, that, or anything that you think people should be asking is sort of a checklist of things? Make sure you ask this, make sure you think about that.
Yeah,
part of it was the scope of work, but go ahead.
Yeah, but the biggest single thing does go back to communication, and most our clients and people that want to work with us and we want to work with them understand this. We have this conversation up front that what's really going to make a difference is, because let's say we're starting a new project. We can't possibly know everything there is to know about it. Mm-hmm. And it's really going to take probably a couple weeks, or on larger projects, maybe a month or two to get familiar with the lay of the land and get good at the process of cleaning. And we may have over or underbid it even originally, because like I say, you will always have a learning curve. So communication becomes the key factor. And if they agree with me that we can talk about it a month later, a quarter later, and of course we'll stay in touch through the course of time like that, we can discuss where we are. If we're having any type of a problem, we'll address it and we'll fix it. Or just change something a little bit, as we go to make it better by virtue of communicating together as reasonable adults, which we all can do, right? It's not that tough.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest single thing. When we have that conversation and look each other in the eye and they're like, yeah, that sounds good. That's what I want. We're going to grow this out, unroll it together, and make it work. That's where things really kick off good.
One thing I want to bring to light here, based on what you just shared, is the fact that you're known to go out on site within 24, 48 hours of a call to almost do a walkthrough, a meet and greet, to get an understanding at a reality level what the project looks like. And we talked about this in one of our previous podcasts about how, we answer the phone and we actually do something with it, as opposed to let it go to voicemail. Maybe we'll get to you in a couple of days, or maybe we won't, which seems to be a common theme down here in Southwest Florida.
It seems too simple, but we hear that a lot. We try to be responsive. So we have a person answering the phone all week. We'll take calls when we can, and we return calls. We get leads in from the website, usually reply as soon as we're sitting back at the computer. Same day is normal, might be the next day. But often we do hear people go, well, I tried this company, that company, and nobody's gotten back to me. Same thing with the proposal process. When they say, no, I want to make this decision quick, I'd really like to have it, today's Thursday. If they're like, I really kind of need it by end of day tomorrow or Monday, more times than not, we'll make it happen. And I'm amazed when they're like, well, so-and-so never got back to me anyway, or we're waiting on more proposals to come in. Often they wait on others. Like I meet the timeline, and they're like, well, I have to wait for 3 more to come in. And that's not unusual.
Yeah.
So it seems like a simple thing, but we're pretty proud of the fact to go, well, we're up front trying to show you that we're pretty, client-centric and client-focused.
That's amazing. I just want to commend you for that, because it is, I call it business fundamentals, right? But they are not lived into.
Right.
And it's really easy for a lot of companies that I've seen to get complacent, especially when we have an overabundance of calls that typically happen for some of the service-oriented industries around or after a hurricane. They'll be like, I need this cleaned out ASAP and all that kind of stuff. And then there's just too many calls coming in. They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. I'm pretty proud of our post-hurricane cleanup here recently, if I could share.
Please.
So we put together a task force right away and said, okay, we have key clients at especially Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, and they just came back to life, right? So coming off Ian, rebuilds, remodels. Now we have 2 hurricanes come through. In fact, a tropical storm and 2 hurricanes this season.
Yep.
And so they see more sand and more debris and more damage, and fortunately not nearly as bad. So this time it really was kind of in the cleanup model. Like, hey, can you help us with? And we put together a task force here, put together a spreadsheet, and we knocked it out. It couldn't have been 2 weeks. We had everything done for all of our clients that asked us. And like I said, it was pretty cool to see, actually. Day by day, we started sending people and made it happen. And we got a lot of praise from existing clients. They really appreciated it. It was just nice to see.
So I'm going to go into detail about that for people that don't realize the hurricanes didn't actually, aside from Ian, the eye wall actually came over Fort Myers and Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva, at Cat 4 levels, which was very devastating. But the hurricanes and the tropical storm this season were offshore, but the winds and the surges put these things under water and
A lot
sand.
of sand got pushed up.
It was like you and me being from the Midwest. It was the snow days we had in the 70s.
Yeah, if you were on Sanibel, you had sand in your garage.
Yeah. So what the premise is, and with that sand comes a lot of bacteria and germs and so forth. So what we're really trying to do is assure we get that stuff out and then help things dry out so that specifically mold and mildew set in, but even more specifically black mold, which is
and that's back to
toxic.
the facet that a lot of people don't think about too much. I write it in the scope of work quite a bit. Sanitize and disinfect. And a lot of times people don't pick up on why I repeat that it's really important to go, we're going to come in and clean it, or sanitize it, but we're also going to disinfect it, kill those germs. So we have products really at every level to make sure that whatever we touch ends up sanitized and disinfected.
I think that's a really critical area you should go deeper with, because here's what we know. We're in Southwest Florida. We have continual humidity most of the year, and it doesn't take much for the humidity in a closed environment to create mildew and mold. And a lot of the houses, there's quite a few companies I've worked with, and we actually had one for a while. It's a house sitting service. We're very clear to assure that the temperature was set maybe at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, but the humidity levels never got above 60, 62 to accommodate for that. So when we don't have power for an enduring period of time post-hurricane, but we're still within we'll call it the hot part of the year down here, with the permeating humidity, we have to be incredibly clear for the sanitize and disinfect part to assure that we're getting that stuff out of there quickly. A lot of people that are from other areas of the world don't realize that this is a huge deal. You know, there's a constant battle, so to speak, with keeping humidity low, well, relatively low, in a place so that we can keep things from growing, mold, mildew, and so on.
Maybe that's one of the reasons the cleaning company does so well in Southwest Florida, because it is nonstop. You're right.
Yeah.
You take the dust and the algae and the heat and the humidity, and the cycle here in Florida is really pretty brutal, pretty tough to keep up at a high level.
And you guys crush it.
We're trying.
I think it's amazing. What I think is really awesome about this, and even this podcast, is a demonstration of your ability to share, to be real, to be transparent, to be authentic, to create trust, respect from people. And the more we talk things through, the more people feel like, yeah, these people are good people. These people operate the way that I would want if I ran a company that did these things to operate. But that's not what I run. I run a company that does this. So I like to think of it like an extension of our family or an extension of our team in here to really keep these systems in play, to keep that going. And if I have any questions, feel free to reach out. Jeff and the team are very responsive for that. So one thing that we've been talking about related to that was this new 2025 initiative called Crystal Clean Cares. And in the essence of it is basically creating a conduit on the website to start to say, if you have any questions or concerns, problems with our service, no matter who you are under our service umbrella, it could be, an office manager who's not really the communication to you, might be the owner of the business, not the office manager. But if they have a question or concern, they can go in this future webpage we're going to be building to the Crystal Clean Cares Initiative and report, hey, I'm with this organization, I'm seeing this problem. And this idea was formulated because we wanted to think about, if we go into 2025, and just for framing, we're in November of 2024, what can we do to really amplify communication? And some people, and you may be like this, I know I am, I'm like, should I say something? Nah. But if there's a conduit where I can do it almost anonymously if I wanted to, hey, can you guys check this thing on this particular property next time you're in? Kind of opens the door for more communication. And you may be thinking about it like I do. I'm like, what was it today that I needed to send a note? Oh, it's 10 o'clock at night and I need to send a note. So the Crystal Clean Cares Initiative, is there anything you'd like to expand on or think through from that idea?
Yeah, going from the old school suggestion box, if you will, where people might write a note and drop it in. And like you said, it could be anonymous. So certainly we go to the digital platform now. That's one thing. But also in naming it, and we mean it, Crystal Clean Cares. Tell tell us whatever you want. Knowledge is power. So, I know that within the common area cleaning, we have residents, we have board members, we have CAMs. We work with all these people and often interact with them at different levels. They could be the ones giving us the directives, any of them. So they all have a way to reach out to us. And good, bad, indifferent, the only way that we're going to grow and continue to do better is to know everything. And it's nice to get the complimentary ones. And we certainly do. We keep track of it. We share it with the team. We love when we get praise. Makes everybody feel good. But it's just as important to make sure you know when you're not doing as well as you could be or when there was a miss, because then you have an opportunity to fix it. And most people are very happy with the idea that, okay, there was a miss, but you fixed it. And that really does repair the relationship and repair the problem, and you just kind of keep moving.
The part I love about what you're sharing, and this is such a tell on great businesses, is we're probably going to have problems or conflict or struggles in our relationship over time, but we're going to be here to make it right. And if that isn't a tell, Dave in our earlier podcast talked a lot about Zig Ziglar and some of these very inspirational personal development people, and the idea that, hey, we're going to have problems in life, but we're going to work through them together with that kind of energy and that kind of face and that kind of feeling. And I think that's another, at least in my mind, it's another superpower of the Crystal Clean experience. And the Crystal Clean Cares initiative is a tactic to help with that. Hey, if you got a problem and you don't feel like telling us who you are as a person, just say the name of the organization or wherever we're serving, tell us what the problem is. And you can trust us that we're going to be on it. You know, a lot of people, they just say like, well, I don't want to burst this bubble, or I don't want to, be a tattletale. Don't worry about it. Tell us the organization. Tell us what the problem is. We got it. The part I love too is that Crystal Clean Cares can serve as a conduit for a lot of our content. So when these questions come in, if they're something that we could answer, we can get on video, you and I get on video and answer it, send it to the person, and then put it as part of our rotation out to let others know, hey, this is a common thing that comes up. This was an example or a case study or an illustration of it happening. And here's the best practice to handle it. Here's what we did. And if you like that kind of service, serve with a smile, going the extra mile, these kind of things, whatever the context is, we're your people. So it's kind of neat how this can be a co-creative, collaborative experience. And we just really want to make sure, as part of our culture at Crystal Clean, that people feel empowered to communicate, even if it isn't the good stuff. Even if it's something that, I don't really want to say this. We've got a conduit for you, and that's something we're building into 2025 and beyond.
Yeah. So, we're open to it. And, sometimes it even turns out just to be misunderstandings. That's, as you know, as we come and go to residences and common areas, sometimes things happen that, for whatever reason, maybe the default is, we think the cleaner did it. And, I want our cleaners to know we have their back, too. Sometimes you go, actually, it was a different service company. Maybe the lawn guys came and went, and water. I've had examples of that, I guess, where, water happened somewhere where it shouldn't, burned out, something. And you go, it actually wasn't us. So it gives us an opportunity to fix those kind of things. It'd be a shame to have them mad at the cleaning company when the cleaning company didn't do it. And like I said, for our cleaners and people that want to work with us and be our cleaners, know that, we just try to be reasonable with people. And sometimes that happens too, where you're like, well, it wasn't really the cleaning company. So it gives us an opportunity to work it all out.
Fantastic. And it's all part of the culture that we've defined through the values of what Crystal Clean is. And that's in previous podcasts. We went into heavy detail about it, especially in our first podcast, through that lens. The big question that I have as we step into the real nitty-gritty of what common area cleaning is could you just break it down? Like, what does common area cleaning mean? And we've talked about it through the different lenses so that we're real clear for any potential people, existing customers, clients, but also for AI to understand, here's the elements of common area cleaning, here's the types of service, maybe the places we provide it. Go ahead.
Okay, so common area cleaning, think in terms of communities. So you have community areas, or you might use the term public areas. So a common area is somewhere that all different people can come and go. So for us, it would start off maybe in an HOA category where people live in their homes, but they come to a particular clubhouse and pool area. That's a very typical common area. So we clean that area, but not so much out with residences. although that's a different topic, maybe certain services. But the common area part is that usually they have a CAM office hub and a clubhouse and a pool. That would be normal. You can expand that out, and some other common area cleaning might be in let's say a high-rise tower. So that takes on its own unique setting. Some have exterior floors, which require a certain type of treatment where, again, the decobbing and the floor work and the railings and the stairs and the elevators, and those are all common areas. The people that come and go see and use these areas. In an enclosed environment, like in a tower maybe that we think of around Southwest Florida, you have the interior, typically carpets, and you'll have more offices and common areas like restrooms that need to be kept up. And if you have 10 stories or 20 stories, and usually you can accommodate those too with a day porter, all these, rather the exterior, interior, which does make a little bit of difference to the labor, I guess. Not so much if it's common, sorry. But
it's okay.
But it does make a difference to us. Yeah. So being able to cover work with day laborers is sort of a sweet spot for getting cleaners in and going, this is a pretty good gig. We set you up to clean these areas through the day. Because that then goes into contrast to other, like in offices, you have a lot of common area where people come and go to offices. They need to be cleaned in the evening or even the nighttime.
Right.
And country clubs is yet another category. When you go into a country club, you have a real mix of common area cleaning. All the things we described pretty much could happen within a country club type environment. So, they're going to have offices and fitness rooms and restrooms, and if associated is the pro shop, and all these things that you have a mix of labor typically with a country club, but all common area. People will come and go through the day, every day, from the community or from the public, and so common area cleaning takes in all those things.
I love that. Thank you for that clarity. 2 terms that you reviewed. One I thought was interesting, decobbing. Is that what I think it is?
Probably. So spiders make cobwebs, and then you can go to the store and buy these nice little bristle brushes of different types to take them out and sweep them off, and that's a nonstop occurrence in Southwest Florida, so we just call it decobbing.
I love that. And I was thinking, you and me being from the Midwest, I was like, is this related to corn? No.
I picked up on decobbing when I moved to Florida as well. Yeah.
Then the other one was CAM. So in a environment, there's typically a community association manager.
Correct.
And the office is associated with that. So really what you're sharing is common area cleaning is pretty much what it sounds like. It's where all the people get together depending on the context, whether it's outside with outside entry to different places in a high-rise condo, for example, or inside, because some of the high-rise condos, much like hotels, they have outdoor access or they have hallways. So you're handling all these different areas. And then in a country club, you mentioned the fitness center and all these kind of things. And then maybe common areas where they gather, like there's, places where everybody sits together and communicates and congregates.
And it's all over the board, depending on the community. Anyone who lives in a homeowner association style community, there's always somewhere that's a gathering spot. It could just be a clubhouse, maybe, very simple. Yeah. But that does expand out, like you said. You get into communities that have more amenities and more spaces that are common area, including bars and restaurants and things that kind of build up the requirements on the cleaning as well.
Yeah, and then one area we talked through was pool area cleaning. Commonly in some of the common areas of a community, they have a pool. So you do pool area cleaning.
We do, yeah. The common area around a pool, really, it's more about tidying up on a daily basis. So we'll be the ones to come in and straighten the chairs and empty the garbage and make sure everything looks nice. But ongoing, of course, the things that you don't always think about as people use lotions and the chairs sit out there for days, months, years. Cleaning those chairs occasionally comes into play. Yeah. The algae wants to grow on the pool deck, depending on how you face the sun, could be better or worse, but making sure that deck looks nice and clean and the surrounding areas. So,
this is really great information, because when we really think about what we're really trying to help people understand is it's not just, common area clean, we're going to take care of dust this thing real quick or handle that. No, we're going to decob. New term for me. Love it. But we're really going to make sure that we're handling things. And I like the rhythms you're talking about. Some things have to happen daily or multiple times per day. Other things weekly, maybe monthly, quarterly, depending on the time of year. We know, because we've been living in Florida for a while, that during the humidity of summer, things amplify. We're talking grass grows super fast. We're talking mold, mildew, algae grows fast. And then as the season changes to much cooler during the off season, we'll call it I think October through April, there's a different cadence to some of these things.
And spiders also have a season. And especially when you get by the river, the towers and their parking garages, we've had, and sometimes this goes over to, get the exterminator, dangerous types of spiders. All of a sudden you have infestations, but there are moments in the year where it's almost impossible to keep up. I mean, the minute you knock everything out, it comes right back. So and they have a heavy season.
Talk to me about what time of year and when we want to avoid this.
Yeah, so typically I see the worst of it in the winter.
Okay,
around the river time. The spiders seem to come in and want to get up in their nooks and crannies, and especially a parking garage. It can get tough.
Yeah,
but same around pool areas and so forth. Like I said, you get up into all the corners and creases. You have the ceiling fans and lights and soffits, and like I said, you'll be out there. It's definitely weekly, and honestly, probably a quick decob every time a cleaner comes and goes is not out of line. Yeah.
So I'm going to circle back.
Think of it as the outdoor feather duster.
Yeah.
So just like in an office, you have a feather duster to knock off all the loose dust every time you come and go.
Yeah.
Decob everything, and then you don't let it get too bad.
So would you say that when we think back to scope of work, and we think back to frequency, rhythms, cadence for certain jobs, that this is part of what I perceive is you helping others understand and look around corners they don't see, is that during summers we got to be extra vigilant, let's say for algae growth or mold and mildew growth because of humidity. During winters we got to be extra diligent around decopping.
Right.
And this is packed into the scope of work and the rhythm, and the team is aware of this so that they're in front of it to keep these things minimized as much as possible or eliminated depending on the context. Is that true?
It's true, and our very best relationships, even the cleaner is aware of all these things and can help. So just like one of the basics for a cleaner is to watch supplies. They are the eyes on, and all of our clients want to know. So if they just came and went, even if it's not within our scope of work, anything that we notice that's a maintenance problem or a supply problem, bug problem, if we mention it and we're able to help facilitate it somehow, even if it's just to take it to the next step, that's where our cleaners really gain a lot of value to our clients when they will communicate openly about things that they see, because they're working through a common area daily or maybe 2-3 times a week, depending.
I love that. So it's like eyes and ears above and beyond that. And I happen to live in a high rise. I've been in almost 20 years. And so in a lot of contexts, I'm eyes and ears. Like there's a light out on a certain unit that's around mine, and I'll be reporting it through their system. They have a portal for maintenance. But it sounds like you guys are on it too. You'll come back with a report maybe, or your team will come back with a report.
It's in our scope of work, and it's an expectation.
That's awesome.
If you see it, report it. If there's a problem,
that's
no
awesome.
matter what it is, we gain value by making sure that we make people aware. So
good.
Even if it's something that turns into a maintenance problem.
Okay.
Light is a perfect example. And it's one of those areas where some places, some cleaners will even change the light. But it's not typically in our scope because it's a light maintenance thing. Usually maintenance people do it. But there are gray areas, but most importantly is the communication that you observe and say something. That's really helpful.
What I like to think about is if you take a look at one of the hot stacks in my scenario, and we look at it from top to bottom and go, how can we make that thing stay the best it can be for the long term, which is a big goal, the cleanest, safest, maintained, best. It feels like Crystal Clean is empowered to be the advocate, even if it's outside of what is in our scope of work. That's what you're sharing, right?
That's exactly what we want out of everybody, top to bottom. We should never come and go and see a problem and not say something. Yeah.
So the next part of what I'd love to cover is the service areas that Crystal Clean provides common area cleaning in Southwest Florida. So would you just kind of break down the towns, areas? What does that look like?
Because Dave established out of Fort Myers, I think Fort Myers is a kind of headquarters and a primary location where we have most of our work, to be honest. But the growth in Southwest Florida, we do have work around us as well, and we flow into Estero and then Bonita Springs and down into Naples. We have a very nice string of work all the way north to south like that. We also reach out and have some work in North Fort Myers and in Lehigh and over in Cape Coral. So the surrounding communities, we have work all over Southwest Florida.
Yeah.
typically North Fort Myers is about as far north as we do go,
Okay.
stretching out across to Lehigh and that area. Although, again, I got a call from somebody in LaBelle going, please. And honestly, because she said that, I was like, okay. So we'll take a crew out to LaBelle. We just don't do it very often. But that, like I said, if you follow that string of growth from Fort Myers down to Estero and Bonita Springs and Naples, even sometimes out to Marco Island, we have and do cover all those areas.
Okay. So let's talk about the beaches and the barrier islands, Sanibel, Captiva, Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Beach. What about those areas?
Yeah, so Fort Myers Beach, we've had some of our longest standing clients out there, up to close to 30 years. So, Fort Myers Beach is a key area where we do work with many clients, and Sanibel as well. Good long-standing clients, and some of them, because of Ian, still just trying to come back to life. So Sanibel has been a hot spot for us. We've always had work there. We still have work there, and we hope to grow and have more work there, because as you send teams out to Sanibel, like I said, to make that a worthwhile effort for everybody, it's nice to have more cleaners go out than less. And we cover Fort Myers Beach really well, and Sanibel is still growing, but we absolutely cover it and want to get more as it comes back to what it should be.
So as we wrap up about common area cleaning, was there any other hints, tips, points, anything else you wanted to share to assure that the listener understands, hey, we're your people, here's what you're going to expect, here's how we're going to flow, here's some of our magic. Was there anything else outside of what we covered that you can think of?
Well, if you enjoy the idea of taking your cleaning requirements and dealing with a company who cares enough to communicate consistently and make sure that you get what you need out of it, so that then we get what we need out of it, that is the type of company we are. It starts at the owner, Dave Harding, and his wife Sharon, and his son John, all still part of the family. That, as we know, starts at the top, works its way throughout. So the spirit of the company is very much, we like to work with people who like to work with us. And if that sounds good, then absolutely give us a call, or go to cleaningfortmyers.com and check us out, and reach out if you'd like to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Cleaning with Purpose podcast on common area cleaning complete. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Charlie.